All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to talk about a piece of tech that didn't just tweak network security, it completely flipped the script. We're talking about Palo Alto's App ID. And to really get why it's such a big deal, we have to start with a huge, gaping problem that existed for years. But first, let me just ask you this. What if the security guard you hired to protect your most important stuff was blind? I mean, what if they could see someone knocking on the door, but they had absolutely no idea what that person was carrying or what they were planning to do once they got inside? That's the exact problem we're unpacking today. So, here's kind of how that plays out. On one side, you've got your traditional firewall. Think of it like a bouncer at a club who only checks which door you came through and what the address is on your ID. Pretty basic, right? But then you have modern apps. They're way more clever. They can disguise themselves to look totally harmless and use any door they want. And the old bouncer, he's completely fooled.
This huge gap between the bouncer's old rules and how these new applications behave, well, it creates a massive security blind spot. And it's a #1 reason why the old security rulebook is basically useless today.
The real flaw, the deep-down problem, was that old-school firewalls were built for a much simpler time. All they did was look at the path the data was taking, the port number and the IP address. They had no clue, literally zero idea, if the stuff on that path was a critical business tool, someone wasting time on social media, or even malware in disguise. They were totally blind to the application itself.
So, how in the world do you stop a threat you can't even see? Well, you give your security guard a new pair of eyes. And this is where Palo Alto's App ID steps onto the scene, offering a way smarter approach to network security. At its very core, App ID is a classification engine. The key thing here is that it doesn't care about the port, it doesn't care about the protocol, and it doesn't even care if the traffic is encrypted. Its one and only job is to answer a single question: what is the actual application trying to communicate? It gives our blind bouncer a brand new pair of X-ray specs.
Okay, but how does it actually do that? How can it see what all the other firewalls were missing? To get that, we need to pop the hood and look at the pretty clever tech that's powering this new vision.
App ID uses this really powerful, multi-layered process. First, it checks for an application signature. Think of it like a unique fingerprint that identifies thousands of known apps. If it doesn't find a match, no problem. It moves to step 2, protocol decoding. Here, it basically analyzes the language of the traffic to figure out what it's trying to do. And if the app is still a mystery, it uses heuristics, which means it just watches the application's behavior to figure out what it is. It's this smart cascading approach that almost always gets an ID.
But here's the kicker. Identifying an app is only as good as your intelligence is fresh. And that's why the App ID database isn't just some static list. It's a living, breathing system. Palo Alto is constantly pushing updates with new signatures, making sure the firewall can spot the latest apps and threats the second they pop up online.
Now, once you can truly see the application, everything changes. You stop just blocking doors and you start intelligently managing the behavior of what's coming through them. This is what we call the power of granular control. Let's make this super real for a second. Think about a social media app. In the old days, your only choice was to block the whole thing or allow the whole thing. But with App ID, you can get incredibly specific. You could say, okay, employees can use the messaging feature, but we're going to block all file uploads because that's too risky. Or you could allow video streaming, but apply quality of service, or QoS, to make sure it doesn't suck up all your bandwidth. See? You're not managing the app anymore. You're managing features within the app. It's a total game changer.
This just opens up a whole new security playbook. Once you know what the app is, you're in total control. You can decide to allow it. You can block it flat out, you can let it through but scan it for any hidden threats, or you can even shape its traffic to protect your network's performance. It's a complete toolkit for making smart, precise security policies.
And that really brings us to the bigger picture here. This technology wasn't just a new feature on a firewall. It represents a fundamental, massive shift in how we have to approach cybersecurity. It created a whole new baseline for what secure means. And it all boils down to this one single most important takeaway. For decades, security was obsessed with the path, the ports, the addresses. App ID forced a total change in that thinking. Security today is and absolutely must be about the application itself. What is it? What is it trying to do? And is it safe? That is the modern security question.
Which leaves us all with one final, critical question to chew on. In the world we live in now, with all its complexity, if your security can't see and identify the actual applications running on your network, can you really, honestly say your network is secure at all? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.